Have you ever found yourself in a conversation where something just felt off, but you couldn't quite pinpoint exactly why? Maybe the person was smiling warmly, but something in their eyes didn't match that friendly expression. Perhaps their words sounded right, but something about the tone sent a subtle warning signal straight to your gut. You walked away nodding along, only later realizing they were hiding something, and you just didn't know how to read the subtle cues in the moment. Imagine if you could. Hey everyone, I'm Bix, and welcome back to Bix Book Summary, where we turn powerful books into practical tools to help you grow in every aspect of your life. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating guide called Read People Like a Book by Patrick King. Now, this isn't about turning you into Sherlock Holmes or teaching you manipulation tactics. It's all about enhancing your ability to read emotions, interpret body language, recognize micro-expressions, and understand deeper intentions. It's about empowering you not just to protect yourself from deception, but also to build deeper, more meaningful connections with others. You see, most of us trust our gut when judging character. We assume we're naturally good at figuring people out. Yet science reveals that our instincts can be biased, clouded by our emotions, or simply mistaken. Patrick King highlights that genuinely understanding people requires cutting through the noise, looking past surface-level words, and tuning into deeper emotional signals. Whether your goal is improving your relationships, handling challenging conversations smoothly, or simply becoming better at reading situations, this book equips you with practical tools. It teaches you how to decode body language and notice subtle signs like micro-expressions, those brief, involuntary facial expressions that reveal genuine emotions even when someone is trying to hide them. You'll discover how to analyze someone's real motives without overthinking, giving you the kind of emotional clarity that allows your intuition to serve you accurately, rather than ruling or misleading you. Have you ever felt that pang of frustration after realizing you've completely misread someone's intentions? Or perhaps you've experienced disappointment because you chose to ignore those subtle warning signals. Or maybe you're just eager to sharpen your social awareness and gain confidence in reading people effectively? If any of this resonates, then this book and today's summary is exactly what you need. Throughout this journey, we're going to uncover practical methods for analyzing behavior and understanding the motivations behind why people do what they do. You'll be able to read and respond intelligently, turning confusion and uncertainty into clear, insightful understanding. So buckle up and get ready to transform your interactions, deepen your connections, and navigate the complex human landscape with newfound clarity and confidence. Let's get started. Imagine someone walks into a room, smiles at you, and says, "Hey, it's so good to see you." But instantly, something feels off. Their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes. Their voice sounds a bit strained, higher than usual, almost forced. Their feet subtly point toward the door as if they're subconsciously planning an escape. You can't pinpoint exactly why, but you have a gut feeling. They don't truly mean what they're saying. What you're feeling isn't just vague intuition. It's your subconscious mind catching on to subtle clues in their body language. Patrick King emphasizes this clearly. If you really want to understand people, stop relying solely on what they say, and start closely observing how they act when they think no one's watching. One of the first lessons King shares in the book is the importance of noticing incongruence, when a person's words don't match their body language. If someone verbally agrees with you, saying yes enthusiastically, but their arms are tightly crossed, their jaw tense, or their eyes slightly narrowed, something deeper is going on. Your job isn't necessarily to confront them immediately. Instead, it's about noticing, staying curious, and recognizing that incongruence doesn't always indicate deception. It might signal discomfort, hidden anxiety, social pressure, or unspoken tension. Whatever it is, it's always meaningful. Patrick King also highlights the power of reading body language in clusters rather than isolated gestures. A single gesture, like someone scratching their nose, doesn't reveal much. But when multiple signs align, like foot tapping, frequent glances toward an exit, or constant finger fidgeting, that combination is revealing. It could mean they're anxious, hiding something, or eager to leave. The trick isn't to instantly diagnose, but to pay attention. Notice the pattern. and remain curious about what's driving those behaviors. Another powerful insight from King involves microexpressions, tiny, involuntary facial expressions that flash briefly, lasting fractions of a second. These expressions are incredibly revealing because they're almost impossible to fake or fully suppress. A quick flash of contempt, a split-second tightening around the eyes indicating suppressed anger, or a fleeting microsmile can tell you what someone genuinely feels, even if they're working hard to hide it. When you become attuned to catching these microexpressions, your understanding of people's true emotions becomes profoundly clearer. But remember, it's not just about faces. Posture reveals just as much. King teaches us to observe the direction someone's body naturally moves. If their torso leans slightly forward, their feet point toward you, and their gaze stays steady, that's a sign of genuine interest and openness. However, if they subtly lean away, cross arms protectively, or shield vulnerable areas like the neck or chest, that's an instinctive withdrawal, a subconscious attempt at creating distance. It might not be intentional, but it's still deeply revealing. Importantly, King advises caution against interpreting these signs without context. For example, crossed arms might simply mean someone feels cold. Avoiding eye contact could indicate shyness rather than dishonesty. So, instead of jumping to conclusions, watch for consistent clusters of behavior. This approach paints a more complete, accurate picture of someone's true emotional state or intent. Perhaps the most crucial point Patrick King makes is that your own body speaks volumes too. We often forget that while we're busy reading others, they're reading us. The subtle ways you enter a room, your breathing patterns when nervous, how you nod or withhold nodding, all these signals tell others something vital about you. Your presence sets the tone before you utter a single word. The more congruent and authentic your own body language, aligning your words, posture, and intentions, the deeper the trust you'll naturally build. So how exactly do you read people like a book? You start by slowing down. You observe rather than assume. You look beneath surface-level words and carefully tune into the subtle energy, gestures, and emotions someone struggles to conceal. Because while people might occasionally deceive with their words, their body language, through tension, posture, and the subtle shifts in their eyes, almost always reveals the truth. Imagine you're sitting in a meeting and someone casually tosses a compliment your way. "Hey, that was a great idea." Yet almost immediately, they shift the conversation elsewhere and avoid eye contact with you for the rest of the day. Or picture a friend who constantly glances at their phone while you're sharing something important. They reassure you, "I'm listening, keep going," but the vibe just doesn't match their words. On the surface, these interactions might seem friendly or supportive, but something still feels hollow. Why? Because your subconscious is sensing emotional incongruence, not simply between their words and their gestures, but between their words and their deeper intentions. Patrick King emphasizes that understanding people deeply isn't just about reading obvious behaviors or body language. It's also about recognizing emotional motivations. Words can easily be filtered, polished, rehearsed, or strategically delivered. But intent? That inevitably leaks through, subtly yet unmistakably, in the timing, the tone, the topic someone avoids, and how quickly they redirect attention back onto themselves. The critical insight King offers is this: instead of just reacting to what someone does or says, pause and reflect on what emotional need they might be trying to satisfy. This is the core of empathetic awareness. Think about it. Someone who constantly boasts or brags might not actually be arrogant. They might be craving validation and reassurance. A friend who habitually engages in gossip may not be malicious. They might simply feel insecure and desperate to belong. Similarly, the person who interrupts you repeatedly during a conversation may not intend disrespect. Perhaps they're anxious to prove their intelligence or assert control. When you begin interpreting behaviors through the lens of emotional motivations, your entire perception changes. Frustration shifts to empathy, confusion transforms into clarity, and your reactions slow down. Instead of being pulled into emotional reactivity or superficial conflicts, you develop deeper understanding and genuine insight into what drives the people around you. King provides a practical approach for navigating these situations. He suggests that whenever something feels off, you pause and quietly ask yourself 3 essential questions. What are they really afraid of right now? What emotional need are they trying to fulfill? Significance, control, approval, or safety? What important truth are they avoiding or choosing not to say? By regularly engaging these questions, you create emotional distance, a powerful space between stimulus and response. Rather than immediately reacting or getting swept up in emotional turmoil, you choose how to interpret someone's behavior consciously. This practice becomes particularly valuable during arguments, tense moments, or encounters involving passive-aggressive manipulation. Instead of mirroring their defensive energy, you see beyond their surface behavior, calmly asking yourself, what's this really about? What emotion are they attempting to manage or conceal? The more you cultivate this skill, the less vulnerable you become to superficial or misleading interactions. You move past simply reacting to the content of what people say, shifting your attention to their underlying intent. Because ultimately, what someone openly shares with you is often far less revealing than the truths they're actively hiding. This perspective leads to a profound shift. Reading people deeply isn't about judgment or suspicion. Instead, it's about understanding the hidden emotional narratives behind their actions. It's empathy tempered with clarity. It's careful observation paired with emotional intelligence. It's learning to see clearly what someone struggles to express. And when you master this ability, you don't merely become socially adept, you become genuinely emotionally wise. We all naturally want to believe the best in people. We give second chances. We brush things off. We reassure ourselves they must have just had a bad day. But there's a point where it's no longer about a bad day, it becomes a pattern. And recognizing that pattern is the moment when true awareness starts. Patrick King is crystal clear here. If someone shows a questionable behavior once, make a mental note. If they show it again, pay closer attention. But if it keeps repeating, take it seriously. Believe it. Because people can convincingly fake kindness or politeness for short periods. They can act engaged, caring, or generous temporarily. But nobody can consistently maintain a facade forever. Eventually, the authentic self, the true intentions, the real motives, will leak through the carefully constructed mask. One particularly eye-opening concept from King's book is what he calls the personality loop. This refers to the repeated emotional cycles people go through, often unconsciously, over and over. For instance, someone might begin every relationship passionately and enthusiastically, showering others with compliments and attention, only to abruptly withdraw emotionally once genuine intimacy or vulnerability is required. Or perhaps they swing unpredictably from warm to cold, confident to insecure, supportive to manipulative, sometimes all within a matter of days. Initially, these loops appear to us as simple mood swings or temporary quirks. But in reality, they're deeply rooted emotional strategies developed over years, often as ways to test control, manage their own vulnerability, or protect fragile self-esteem. The tricky part? The more likable or charming someone appears initially, the more inclined we are to excuse or overlook these patterns when they emerge. We vividly remember the honeymoon phase, the charming, best version of them we first met. But that charming version? It's the mask, the image they want us to see. And that image can only hold up for so long before reality inevitably shines through. King urges us strongly to stop romanticizing potential and instead start respecting consistent patterns of behavior. Because it's those patterns, not intentions or brief good days, that reveal who someone genuinely is, rather than who they aspire to become. Another compelling insight from King is understanding emotional inconsistency as a major red flag. If a person is exceedingly charming one day, abruptly dismissive another, and manipulative when challenged, it's not random unpredictability. It's a deliberate, calculated test to gauge and maintain control. The longer you dismiss or minimize this inconsistency, the more power you inadvertently give it. So how do you protect yourself practically? Start noticing how people treat you consistently over time. Not just on their best days or during pleasant interactions, but especially when things get inconvenient or challenging. Pay attention to how they react when you set boundaries, when they don't get their way, or when under stress or frustration. Because in those moments, their real self surfaces. Importantly, the reverse holds true as well. King highlights that emotionally stable individuals might initially appear less exciting or even boring, simply because our society conditions us to chase drama, intensity, and charisma over calmness and consistency. Yet, true emotional safety and reliability aren't boring. They're incredibly rare and profoundly valuable. When someone consistently demonstrates honesty, calmness, integrity, and respect, recognize this as a powerful green flag and value it deeply. So, here's the core takeaway from King's insights. If you notice that someone's words and actions aren't aligning, just wait. Time will always expose the deeper truth. Patterns never lie. Watch closely for the loops. Watch carefully for the mask. Notice how people behave toward others when they think no one's watching or it doesn't matter. Because ultimately, how someone behaves consistently over time is precisely who they truly are. At first glance, a book like Read People Like a Book seems entirely focused on other people. How to decode their hidden motives, how to protect yourself from deception, how to navigate tricky conversations with confidence. And yes, that's where the journey begins. But it's definitely not where it ends. Patrick King doesn't envision you becoming some cold, calculating analyst who reads people like mathematical equations. Instead, he wants something much deeper and more meaningful. For you to develop clear, compassionate insight so you can respond wisely, lead calmly, and move through the world with presence, rather than panic. Because here's the hidden truth. When you truly understand people, you stop being surprised by their behavior. And when you stop getting surprised, you stop getting emotionally hooked. That's where your real power lies. It's not about spotting lies or catching others in deception. It's about knowing instinctively when someone's behavior isn't about you, and having no need to prove yourself in return. You start recognizing when someone is projecting their own insecurities onto you, and instead of absorbing their emotional baggage, you simply notice it without taking it personally. You see manipulation clearly, and instead of reacting defensively or aggressively, you quietly disengage and step back. You witness the familiar push and pull pattern some people use to keep you chasing after them, and for the first time, you decide not to chase. That's what makes you genuinely unshakable. The deeper your understanding of people's emotional motivations, their cycles of fear, their desire for approval, their subtle or overt manipulations, the less you internalize their actions. You gain a powerful clarity that tells you, this is their emotional pattern. I don't have to participate in it. And perhaps even more beautifully, this understanding changes how you show up for others. You become the kind of person who reads the energy of a room without feeling the need to dominate or control it. You become someone who listens not just to what's said aloud, but to what remains unsaid, silently holding space for truths others are hesitant to share. You provide emotional safety for those who usually perform, and calm steadiness for those accustomed to chaos. You begin to lead, not through force, volume, or authority, but through profound emotional awareness, through authentic clarity, through trust in your own ability to observe carefully, process thoughtfully, and choose intentionally. And ultimately, all of this insight, awareness, and growth leads to the greatest and most meaningful outcome of all: peace. When you stop second-guessing others, stop overreacting to their every mood or motive, stop spinning in circles trying desperately to figure people out, you create space for stillness. In this space, wisdom emerges naturally. You develop a quiet strength that doesn't need to shout or prove itself, but simply radiates with calm confidence. So, if there's one core message I want you to carry forward from this summary, let it be this: you don't need psychic abilities. You don't need flawless judgment. You simply need to pay careful attention, with patience, curiosity, and compassionate presence. Because the deeper you understand others, the more deeply you anchor yourself. And when you become grounded in this way, you don't just become socially sharp, you become deeply, authentically, and beautifully whole. At its heart, Read People Like a Book isn't about labeling others or jumping to conclusions. It's about cultivating clarity. It's about learning to navigate life with your eyes wide open, your heart guarded with wisdom, not walls, and your presence grounded in truth. It teaches you how to see clearly, respond thoughtfully, and show up as your most centered self, no matter what energy walks into the room. If this summary resonated with you, if it gave you a new way of looking at your relationships or interactions, I'd love to hear about it. Hit that like button, leave a comment below sharing your biggest aha moment, and make sure to subscribe to Bix Book Summary, where we don't just read books, we live their lessons and bring them into the real world, one page at a time. And if you're ready to take this journey deeper and sharpen your emotional insight even more, grab your own copy of the book through the link in the description. Trust me, this is one you'll want to highlight, revisit, and truly absorb. Until next time, stay present, stay grounded, and lead with quiet awareness. Speak with intention, and listen for what's left unsaid. Because while people may hide a lot behind smiles, silence, or performance, when you know what to notice, you don't just see through it, you see everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.